But some of us might start feeling frozen with the wind chill going by. It is 8 a.m. I'm Rondella Richardson.
And I'm Jennifer Egan. There is a significant snowstorm that is moving east right now, but we are not the target this time around, as you can see from the radar. Let's send it over to meteorologist Ann Cicalese. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning, Jennifer. Rondella. No, we are not the target. This continues to move eastward. It will move through the Ohio River Valley and then eventually into the mid-Atlantic. So it's really down to the D.C. area that we're looking for some impacts heading into tomorrow morning, stretching into portions of southern New Jersey as well. We have a cold wind that's flowing over the Great Lakes. That's keeping the chill. It's keeping that breeze, but it's also producing some of those lake effect snow showers in New York, some of which are holding together and producing a flake or two here locally. We're not talking about anything widespread or heavy, but it is something you might run into, especially as you travel west of Boston and north of Boston today, as that wind continues to flow. We have temperatures in the upper 20s to low 30s. It's not a strong chill as you're heading out the door, but there's definitely that factor of the wind making things feel colder as we see wind gusts approaching 35 to 40 miles per hour this afternoon. Highs in the 30s will feel more like the 20s. I'll have a look at our 7-day forecast, the next potential for any rain or snow trying to arrive. Rondella.
Okay, thank you, Kellyanne. 8:01, we're following some breaking news in Charlestown. Fall season as the team faces the Bills at Gillette.
But could it also be the final game for head coach Gerard Mayo in New England? The Eye Opener's Brianna Borghi is live at Gillette this morning with where things stand. Brianna, good morning.
Good morning, Jen and Rondella. There is a lot to consider here, but at 3-13, has Mayo earned another shot to come back? The answer there, probably not. Now, flashback nearly a year ago, this was the day when Gerard Mayo was introduced as the new head coach of the New England Patriots, handed the keys after the 24-year Belichick era. That day, Gerard was calling owner Robert Kraft Thunder, a nickname. Kraft hand-selected him to usher in a new way of thinking, and that was not a one-year plan. So with an underperforming team, even with under-talented players, you sort of wonder what the owner would gain if he gave up on his vision. As for Mayo, here's his take on the culture of the first pick in the draft and a 4-13 record, which would match the Patriots' record last season. We're live at Gillette Stadium. Brianna Borghi, WCVB News Center 5.
Okay, Brianna, thank you. Right now, a New Hampshire police officer is recovering after being shot by a suspect.
Firefighters in Rutland rallying around one of their own. Patrick Sullivan's wife and newborn twins died last month after an emergency, a medical emergency. Our Ted Wayman reports from Holden with the show of support following the tragedy.
It's what we do. By the hundreds.
Morning for former President Jimmy Carter following his death exactly 1 week ago. His funeral services continue today in Atlanta.
Jarvis Robertson from our sister station WVTM joins us live from the Carter Presidential Center in Georgia. Jarvis, good morning. Legislature. How Beacon Hill is looking toward the future now, plus a major storm.
A miss for us. We get a little break from the big wind pattern that we've been stuck in tomorrow, but we're back at it by Tuesday. It's a cold and windy pattern for much of the work week. I'll have a look at just how cold it will feel.
Kellyanne, and a live look at Gillette Stadium, getting ready for a 1 o'clock kickoff there. Yes, things are dry and cold. We'll be back after this. Legislative leaders on Beacon Hill have made some New Year's resolutions last week, but will they stick?
Well, Craig Sandler with the State House News Service joins us now to talk us through into weather now. Over 60 million Americans are prepared for a powerful winter storm headed our way. Experts with the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration say for some areas, this could be the heaviest snowfall in a decade. So far, the states of Kentucky and Virginia have declared states of emergency. The weather system has already dropped snow and ice in the Central Plains, and Kansas has slick roads that have been keeping law enforcement busy. Look at the gridlock there. The National Weather Service in Wichita posting multiple images of vehicle accidents on X, pleading for people to stay home until the weather improves. So many of these areas aren't used to such systems, too. It looks like that storm system, however, will miss us. And that's something we would expect for January, right?
I know. Do you feel left out?
Absolutely not. Okay. I'm all good, Kellyanne.
Yeah, it is going to be a miss for us. We are looking at what looks to be a pretty dry pattern, quite the opposite. Cold, windy pattern, but dry for several days here. It's not seeing signs of any snow or rain moving in until perhaps next weekend, and that's quite some ways away. We're looking at blizzard warnings through much of Kansas, extending into northern Missouri. Missouri. This pink color indicates a winter storm warning extending all the way to D.C. from Kansas. And we have winter weather advisory. So this is a large, significant storm that's moving through. Snow, some freezing rain, and even some rain that could lead to thunderstorms, perhaps even severe thunderstorms. As we travel toward this evening, this line trying to form in the southern Mississippi Valley, definitely showing signs of perhaps tornadoes trying to develop along with those severe thunderstorms. So this is a very dynamic system. The snow extending through much of the Ohio River Valley, even starting to extend through Virginia here by this evening. But really, it's the D.C. area tomorrow morning that will likely see more of that snowfall. Notice it does extend through portions of southern Pennsylvania and southern New Jersey. That's as close as it's going to get for us as we move toward tomorrow morning. You can see how it is a miss here locally. But snowfall totals could get closer to 6 inches for many spots through the Midwest. Thinking through the West Virginia mountains and Virginia mountains, those higher elevations could see closer to a foot, if not more. The potential for ice has a lot of people concerned, especially through the Midwest. Kentucky in particular looking like a hot spot where we could see ice accretion of 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. That is certainly enough to cause power outages, dangerous travel, and widespread tree damage. The tornado threat is something to watch too for later this afternoon and evening. This area being highlighted here in Louisiana and Mississippi, that's going to be a spot that we'll be watching for later today. Meanwhile, we have clouds here locally and a few flakes being reported earlier. Not the case right now, though. It is dry as we're sitting in the 20s for most spots. We have this cold air flowing over the Great Lakes, and that's what's producing this lake effect snow machine that has been going for days. This is not something that is out of the ordinary for New York. But what we're seeing is some of these lake effect snow streamers, as they continue to stream eastward, hold together and produce a flake or two here locally. So it's something you might see flying in the air as you're traveling out and about today, especially north and west of Boston. It's all because of that wind, the same wind which is producing these wind chill factors that are down in the teens this morning. The wind gets stronger this afternoon with gusts between 35 to 40. So highs today in the 30s will feel more like the 20s. Good amount of clouds in place here, and those clouds may produce that flake or two, as I mentioned, watching southern New Hampshire and perhaps moving through Worcester County this afternoon. But you can see otherwise it is a dry outlook before things start to clear out tonight. And it's the clear out tonight that will allow our temperatures to actually get colder. We're falling down into the teens. Our coldest night this week likely setting up for Wednesday night into Thursday morning. I think we'll likely see some single-digit lows here, perhaps even colder, as we move into what looks to be a very cold and windy pattern. Next potential for rain or snow is later on next Saturday. For Storm Team 5, I'm meteorologist Ann Cicalese.
Now, here's Josh Brogadier with Sports Center.
More clouds moving in already this morning, and we'll see more of that through this afternoon too. So a gray appearance to our sky today. Not much in the way of rain or snow. That major storm system missing us to the south as it travels toward the mid-Atlantic tomorrow. So outside of a few lake effect snowflakes from New York, we are looking dry for most of our 7-day. Next potential for any rain or snow holding off until next weekend. And our 8 to 14-day outlook indicating more of the same. Our pattern likely going to be drier than average and also colder than average, not just here, but for much of the eastern half of the country. That's as we're still dealing with drought in our area. About 50% of our region is under severe drought. Jennifer Rondella.
Okay, thank you, Kellyanne. A home from a popular television show is now being sold from a realtor from New Hampshire.
This is interesting. 3828 Piermont Drive in Albuquerque was featured in the hit series Breaking Bad. Though the show ended in 2013, it still gets hundreds of tourists a day. Bedford-based realtor David Christensen is licensed in multiple states and secured the listing with help from a friend.
Good friend of mine from the music industry when I was in that part of my career, was very good friends with the family and had reached out to me and said, I think this might be a good project.
David made a website for it, walterwhiteshouse.com. He says the Breaking Bad house is now breaking the internet. The asking price for the 3-bed, 2-bath ranch-style home is just shy of $4 million. Coming up on 8:27 now. Coming up on the Eye Opener, Bourbon Street continuing to mourn after a New Year's massacre.
What the attack reveals about the threat of
A messy wintry storm hitting our neighbors to the south and a cold windy pattern that's setting up for us.
It's the last game of the season for the Patriots, and can they match last year's record? What to watch as they take on the Buffalo Bills.
And a new scam is circulating in Boston. The urgent warning from police.
8:30 on this Sunday morning, taking a live look outside here in Needham, and you can see it has gotten a little bit cloudy out there. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Jennifer Egan.
And I'm Rondella Richardson. I hope you're staying warm because the temperatures aren't going too far up.
No, and really for most of our 7-day, below average temperature trend and the wind making it colder. Yeah, it's a stretch for us for sure. But you know, this isn't too crazy for January. We're not talking about record-setting cold here by any means. And we're missing out on this significant and messy storm that's following a track staying to our south. The snow is just starting to flow through Kentucky here. Some of these snow returns here on the radar are actually falling to the ground, but we're seeing in western Kentucky some of that snow starting to fall. So this is marching along, moving toward the mid-Atlantic as we move toward the overnight hours into tomorrow. Meanwhile here, any signs of snow mainly out to our northwest with that lake effect snow shower that's moving through much of New York. Some of those snow streamers may hold together and produce a flake or two here locally, but outside of that, we are staying pretty dry here. We have temperatures in the upper 20s to low 30s, feeling like it's in the teens due to the wind that is going to continue to increase in strength. Right now, gusts are near 20, but by this afternoon, wind gusts between 35 to 40 will make high temperatures in the 30s feel like the 20s. This wind is going to calm down tomorrow. I'll have a look at when it picks back up again. Jennifer.
Kellyanne, thank you. Now to the Patriots and the end of another disappointing season. The Patriots take on the Buffalo Bills for their final game.
Oh, the Eye Openers, Brianna Borghi, is live at Gillette this morning with a few key things we should be watching. Good morning, Brianna.
Good morning, Rondella and Jen. Well, right out of the gate, keep a close eye on head coach Jerod Mayo all throughout this game. He has not relented. His intention is to play the game to win. But, you know, that is a double-edged sword because that could risk the #1 overall pick in the draft. A place of leverage, if not the spot to find the next Patriot star in. And if they do win today, they'll match last year's record at 4-13. Kickoff today is at 1 p.m. Live at Gillette Stadium, Brianna Borghi, WCVB News Center 5.
Brianna, thank you. We have an update on breaking news out of Charlestown this morning. Boston police launching a death investigation there. Police were called to in New Orleans. The attack that killed 14 people
reflects a long-standing trend. Lone wolf attacks from radicalized Americans. But
it's cold, even for January standards. Average high 38. We're staying in the low 30s today. Feeling even colder due to the wind. I will look at some of the coldest air set to arrive this week. Plus, when we'll see any sign of rain or snow. It's a very dry pattern for us. Meanwhile, we're seeing some brightness to the sky here with our roof cam shot right over our WCVB studio in Needham. Looking onto 128, a little bit of blue sky breaking through the clouds.
This includes hospitals. Whopping 76% of kids in the U.S. asked for some sort of gaming gift this holiday season.
If Santa came through here, a lot of parents are probably dealing with some new challenges right about now. Our Antoinette Antonio talked to an expert to get some advice.
A lot of kids are plugging in to play with new video games they got after the holidays, mine included. Joining us now is Dr. Kyle Faust, a clinical psychologist.
Today.
Yeah, we're starting to see some clouds moving in. It's not an overcast day, but definitely more clouds than sun.
Okay.
We'll likely see more of that through the afternoon. You know, speaking of the water temperature, it's in the mid-40s right now.
I didn't even want to ask.
Yeah. So those people were definitely pretty cold, especially considering the air temperature, right?
Coming out.
Oh my gosh, and the wind. Oy. But it is such a great cause, so good for them. We are seeing temperatures right now down in the low 20s as you move northwest of Boston, upper 20s to low 30s in and around the city. So there's a little bit of a chill to the air. This is nothing extreme for us, but the wind has been so persistent over the last couple of days, and we're already starting to feel that wind picking up this morning. We're seeing occasional wind gusts nearing 20 miles per hour in the area, but it is looking to get stronger. These gusts already are producing wind chill factors down in the teens. As we travel toward the afternoon, wind gusts approach 35 to even 40 miles per hour in spots. That is a good persistent strong wind here. So that is why our high temperatures that are in the upper 20s to even mid 30s today will feel more like the low 20s. That is what you want to dress for as you're heading out this afternoon. You can see how there's some clouds streaming in with our 12-hour forecast. Definitely seeing some more signs of that as we travel through the afternoon. afternoon. That's as we're still tracking this very cold wind that's flowing over the Great Lake. It's producing that lake effect snow machine that has been really cranking over the last couple of days, producing snowfall through New York. That is not out of the ordinary by any means, especially this time of year. But some of that cold air flowing, producing those lake effect snow showers, hold together and produce a flake or two here locally. We saw a few reports of snow flurries flying in Worcester earlier, and I even saw some reports of that along the North Shore. You'll want to watch for that this afternoon too. Even later this morning, you see how there's a lot of clouds in place, perhaps a flake or two flying in southern New Hampshire, moving southward toward the Pike this afternoon. Mostly dry outlook, but you don't want to be surprised by some of those flakes moving about. We're not going to see anything actually sticking, and we do clear out as we move toward tonight. That's as we're tracking this significant winter storm, and a messy storm at that. It is taking shape now as it produces snow, freezing rain, and likely the risk of some severe thunderstorms as we travel toward this afternoon and evening. Look at this line in the southern Mississippi Valley. That is a strong signal for not only strong thunderstorms, but perhaps even some tornadoes trying to develop as well, especially through Mississippi. Meanwhile, snow extending into the mid-Atlantic by this evening, but you could see the D.C. area gets more of that snowfall as we head into early tomorrow morning before this moves out on Tuesday. Snow potential is over 6 inches, perhaps even closer to a foot, if not more, for some of the higher elevations of West Virginia and Virginia. 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of ice means there's likely going to be some power outages and dangerous travel in combination with the snow that's also expected. Meanwhile, locally, we're mostly clear tonight. The storm misses us to the south. We have a lot of clouds in the forecast. Our coldest morning likely Thursday morning as we fall down into the lower teens, perhaps even a few single digits. Next sign of snow or rain is for next weekend. Rondella.
Okay, maybe you want to get out of here. Well, think about this. If you hopped on a plane for Christmas or New Year's, you probably won't be surprised that this holiday season broke the travel records. The TSA says it screened nearly 39 million people between December 19th and January 2nd, making those 2 weeks the busiest end of the year holiday travel period ever. And for all of 2024, TSA officers screened a record 904 million people at airport checkpoints nationwide.
Beginning today, your drive to parts of New York City could cost a whole lot more. The first in the nation congestion pricing begins today. Drivers entering the city below 60th Street will have to pay $9 during peak hours, which are 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends. $2.25 for off-peak hours. The Boston City Council discussed congestion pricing at a hearing last year. They have not taken any further action at this point.
Well, as they say, this is it. The Pats are kicking off their final game of the season.
The ticket prices for today's game, the last-minute bargains you may be able to score.
Maybe the best bargain of the year.
The eye-opener's Brianna Borghi is live at Gillette Stadium. Okay, Brianna, how much are some of those tickets going for?
Well, Jenna Rondella, there are a lot of things you could do today that would be more expensive than getting a ticket to this game. Here are some of the sample prices that we found online. The lowest ticket on StubHub is going for the basement bargain price of $39. Meanwhile, SeatGeek's best seats are going for $185 a piece, and those are just a few yards back from the home team's side of the field at the 50-yard line. So this just feels unheard of compared to what you would have seen just a couple of years ago. So if you don't have anything going on today and you can look past the 3-13 record, come on out, cheer this team on for the final home game of the season. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. against the Buffalo Bills. Live at Gillette Stadium, and it's windy here, be aware. Live at Gillette Stadium, Brianna Borghi, WCVB News Center 5.
Okay, Brianna, thank you so much. So you will want to bundle up too if you
yes.
want to head to Gillette.
Yes, that wind's going to pick up this morning, and it will be even stronger this afternoon. So Brianna, make sure you're prepared too. We're talking about wind gusts approaching 35 to even 40 miles per hour at times. So even though our kickoff temperature is near the low 30s, it's all about what it feels like. That wind will make it feel like it's in the low 20s. And it's all about the side of the stadium you're on too. I've noticed that if you're in the sunny side, it feels a little bit better than the shade. So that is going to be a factor today. We have some clouds that are streaming in this morning. Clouds are a little thicker through tomorrow, but sunshine for much of the week ahead. Not much in the way of rain or snow.
Okay, so if you're tailgating out there today, maybe add some hot sauce to warm you up. Are you guys hot sauce guys? I don't usually do hot sauce, but maybe on a day like today.
Tang.
Okay, go Pats. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week.